make a nigga act right. Broke boys don't deserve no pussy. I know that's right. Big bag bustin' not the belly band. Take a man, Balenciaga brought it back and all these bitches fuck. It's big bags bustin' not the belly band. Take a man, working back, brought it back and all you bitches fuck. If it's up, then it's up, then it's up, then it's stuck. If it's up, then it's up, then it's up, then it's stuck. Up, then it's up. If it's up, then it's stuck. If it's up, then it's up, then it's up, then it's stuck. I can make the party hot. I can make your body rock. Bitches say they fucking with me. Chances are they probably not. If I had a dick, you probably lick it like a lollipop. Hoes speaking Japanese, hit 'em with karate chops. I'm forever popping shit, pulling up and dropping shit. Gotta argue with 'em cause a nigga love a toxic bitch. Niggas out here playing, gotta make 'em understand. If ain't no ring on my finger, you ain't going on my gram. Set my face bomb, ass tight, rack stack up shack height. Jury on me, flashlight. I've been listening last night. Hit 'em with that good
Block
love,
me.
make a nigga act right.
What's going on, guys? Dang, I know y'all hear all that noise. Like, they're working, unfortunately, they're working upstairs on a unit. So, jeez. Yeah, I called the front desk, and I guess there's nothing they can really do unless I change rooms. And I don't know if I feel like doing all that. But, yeah, what's going on, guys? So, the video that I did earlier, my live, my battery actually died, like, right when I was getting ready to upload it. So, I told you guys that I might come back on. So, yeah, I definitely have to, like, redo, like, the whole thing. So, there was a few things that I talked about. But the main topic was the myth of someday, the someday myth, right? Whether it's a business that you want to start, you got this idea, you know, whatever, home-based business, you know, you want to be in business for yourself, but you tell yourself this myth that, I don't want that to be too loud, because it's always much louder than I think. Turn it down more. Okay. So you tell yourself this lie, this myth, that one day, you know, when circumstances are right, when everything is perfect, right? When my financial situation has improved, when I'm out of debt, like when, you know, I'm in the perfect relationship, whatever myths, whatever lies, little lies we tell ourselves, like one day, you know, now is just not the right time. This is the someday myth, right? Because guess what, guys? Someday never comes. I'll say it again. Someday never comes. Let me invite a few people. Oh, I don't want to invite him. Is that bad when you're just inviting everybody and you're like, oh no, I don't want that person on. No, I'm good. All right, that's my limit. So I invited 50 people, so we'll see what happens. Okay, so back to the topic, you know, and I've been guilty myself. You know, I was that girl that, you know, one day, you know, I wanted to write a book. I had so many people tell me that, you know, you definitely need to write a book. You have a story that needs to be told, you know, and I always felt like one day I know I'm going to write a book. And it wasn't until, like, I made a decision in the now. Like, you know what? Let me just, you know, the best advice that I got from published authors was to just start writing. It sounded too simple. And then I heard it again and again. And it was just like, sit down, pull out your laptop, and just write. Just start writing. Write every day. So when I got up the courage to say, you know what? I'm just going to start writing today. Like, that's when I was able to self-publish my first book, Six Figure Mindset Coach. Change your philosophies, change your life. It's about 10 divinely inspired universal success principles that govern the universe and about the role that they play on the success or failure of any business. Okay, so I chase all of these universal success laws and principles. There were 10. They go by different names, you know, law of cause and effect, you know, law of attraction, the compound effect, and there's also principles. They're not all necessarily laws, like the principle of going the extra mile, which has been very significant, like in like my progress in life, just being promoted and making more money and things like that. I try to live by that principle of going the extra mile and always doing more than you're paid to, right? So that was kind of the basis of my book, and it's also like a bit of a biography where I kind of, tell some I share some personal experiences about my life and some, tragedies and things like that that I've survived. So, it's kind of a spiritual self-development book, and it is available in the link in my bio, and also on Amazon.com and BarnesandNobles.com. So yeah, the myth of someday, right? This is what I told myself, and it's like someday, one day, it never came. Like when I started writing, like circumstances were not perfect, and when you realize the day you finally say yes to the now, to today, you're going to realize I could have made this decision last year, like 3, 5, 10 years ago, because the ideal circumstances that we think that we're waiting for is just not reality. So I believe that the best time to ever start a dream, a goal, a desire, a business, take that leap of faith. I believe that it is now, because I say that because now is truly all that we really have, right? When you think about it, tomorrow will be today when it gets here, okay? So today we look at the future and we call it tomorrow. But when tomorrow gets here, guess what? When you live in the now, tomorrow will still be now. It'll be today, right? Let that sink in. And then the past, you can never get back. So it kind of goes deep, makes the mind, it's almost mind-boggling when you think about the theory of time and if it even exists. But that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother day, But the point being is, when you do your work, I'm on this 30 days of positivity challenge. I do my affirmations, I do my morning meditation, I do my self-development. So when you get in this space of like forward progression and, evolution, where you're evolving and you're growing, like you will eventually get to that place where you can see and understand what I'm saying. Like now is truly all we have. So if you're going to do something, you never want to put off tomorrow what you can do today. That's the philosophy that I try to live by. I don't do it perfectly, but here in the this recent past week, I was reminded of things that I could have avoided, like when I had the opportunity to do it. Had I done it, maybe I could have avoided certain obstacles that showed up later on in the week. But ultimately, it still all worked out for me, and I affirm that every day, that everything always works out for me. And it's crazy because I have like a couple of people that told me this week that they've been doing that same affirmation and they've been like getting positive results from it. So if you affirm that everything always works out for you, you never have a need to worry about anything, just say it, even if you don't believe it, because eventually the tongue carries the power of life and death. The more you say something, you will believe it, even if on a subconscious level. That's why affirmations are so very powerful. What you speak, like the word says, my word will not return to me void. Your word is like a seed, and it comes from your thoughts, right? That's why there's a whole saying about your thoughts. It all starts with your thoughts. They become your words, right? What you think about, you give power to. And then eventually you begin to speak what it is that you're thinking. And then your words become your actions, right? And then the more you do a thing, the more you act, it becomes habits. And over time, your habits they build character. Okay? It kind of shapes and kind of defines like who you are. Your habits define your character, right? And your character ultimately will give you your destiny, will lead to your destiny. Okay? So your thoughts lead to your words, to your actions, to your habits, to your character, to your destiny. But it all starts with your thoughts, right? So back to what I was saying about the someday myth. Someday is not, go pull out a calendar, challenge me, I could be wrong. Someday, not Sunday, someday is not anywhere on the calendar. It does not exist. It's not real. It is just something that we pacify ourselves with to avoid actually doing the work. You know what I mean? We say someday, one day. One day, someday. These are not days that are on, they do not exist. And it's like, I had a paradigm shift the first time I think I read that in, I don't know if it was in The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. I'm pretty sure that's the book that it came from. That's a really good book, The Slight Edge. And also they have it in audio as well. But yeah, I believe that's where I first heard that someday is a myth. And when it really hit me, it hit me. And it pushed me into, just doing it afraid. And I realized, okay, well, we procrastinate and we say someday. We fall back on that someday myth because we're afraid of, like my coach just said the other day, the responsibility that comes with our power. Some of us are afraid to succeed because of the responsibility. We're afraid of our own success. We're afraid to fail. We're afraid of rejection. But then we're also afraid of our success. We're afraid we don't tap into our power because we're afraid of the responsibility that comes with it. And you can see like you're in no man's land when you're just afraid of failure. You're afraid of success. You see, that's why self-development is so key, and self-awareness, right? So someday never comes. That being the case, now is really all we have. Tomorrow will be today when it gets here. Yesterday we can never get back. So is there even a such thing as tomorrow? Is there a such thing as yesterday? I mean, it's something you can meditate on and ponder over and journal on when you have some downtime. I've done it myself, and it's rabbit hole goes pretty deep with the whole concept of time being an illusion. And was it I'm trying to think of the scientist who has his theory on is it the theory of relativity or something? Now I'm trying to go back to my college days, and like I'm day drinking too, so forgive me if I'm not remembering the correct science. I think Einstein, I want to say. I think it was Einstein. There's this theory of relativity as it relates to time being an illusion. Okay, but that's a whole nother subject, like I said, for another day. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. So, it all starts with making a decision. When I made a decision and I'm going to sit down and write, that's when my book, the process of, creation, of actually creating, because we are creators. I could not access my power to create until I first made a decision. So I hope you understand that your thoughts, everything begins with your thoughts. What you think about most, you give power to. If you think about the things that you fear, if you fear rejection and that's what you're thinking about and that's your dominant thought, that's what's going to show up. More things to cause you fear, But when you see yourself in your mind's eye on the canvas of your imagination, what you should be doing each and every morning for at least 5 minutes, and, meditation, I do 10 minutes every morning, group guided meditation. If you guys want any information on how you can be a part of the Girl Hold My Hand guided meditation each and every morning, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, Coach Stormy, I believe it's a $50. No, it went up. It's like a $70 monthly membership fee and a private Facebook group. Just reach out to me and I can get that information to you. But it does help. It does make a difference. So yeah, okay. Now that that's out the way, so I wanted to get back to my 30 days of positivity challenge that I'm doing. And I've definitely run into some challenges. Now I talked about some challenges that I was having with my bank. And since then, I think the whole situation has just turned around. So it would have been so just silly of me to have gotten upset and to have made a big deal, you know. So I'm really proud of myself that I didn't, because like the old me, I'm not gonna say I would have cursed the guy out, you know, he can't control the weather. Like, he has no control. The fact that my bank is like, their system is down, so I could not access my debit card, and you know, I had cash on me. So when I calmed down and was just like, you know, well, let me remain calm. I'm like 30 days of positivity. Let me look for the goal. And I'm like, oh, I guess it was a good thing I didn't make it to the bank in time the night before, and I didn't even get upset over that. So I still had cash on me, so I was able to, you know, finish purchasing the items that I had, and I mean, no harm done, you know. So, and then I end up going to like another store, and they have like those self checkout things where you don't have to even like deal with a real like human being. But I noticed that, oh, they don't accept cash. So I was like, you know what? Let me just try my debit card. So my debit card actually worked. So, you know, I still have to call my bank back, but I'm really proud of myself that I did not get out of character. I didn't get upset. Like, I wasn't rude to anybody, you know, because that's like the old Paris, you know. So as I said before, like when I did this 30 days of positivity challenge in the past, like towards the end of it, the idea is that like you're going to, we say 30 days, but you're going to come to this epiphany, you know, that, my gosh, this is the way that I should think all the time. Like, it's going to be hard to fathom that you never thought this way in the first place, you know. But it's really easy for negative, dominant thoughts, like, to be the dominant thought if you're not intentional, if you're not being intentional about having a positive mental attitude. So that is the purpose over the 30-day positivity challenge, is to have the scales tip from your dominant thoughts being negative. And it's going to have to take at least, you know, about, you know, they say 3 weeks is the minimum to form a new habit. But I heard like 3 weeks isn't even enough. Like, that's what they used to say, old school, like 3 weeks to develop a new habit. But I've heard in more recent years like that's not actually accurate. So I'm just saying like 30 days, like minimally. So that's why each time you allow a negative thought to be like dominant, like you have to start the 30-day period back over. You know what I mean? Because it has to be consistent, because you're trying to kind of cultivate this dominant, positive mental state. And if you're accustomed, like most people are, I'm not sure why that is, to like just the inner talk, the self-talk, the you know, the chatter in our brains, like the doubt, the self-limiting beliefs, like it's always there, and we're not always even conscious or aware of it, right? Because it exists on a subconscious level, right? So this is to deliberately tip the scale if you do it for 30 days straight. Now, if you do it for 30 days, but, you know, 3 or 4 days out of the week, you know, for all 4 weeks, you allowed a negative thought. Let's say you were in traffic and you allowed someone to upset you, who maybe cut you off or something, and you got really negative, and then it like kind of snowballed and kind of affected the rest of your day. It does take practice, guys. Because I've even admitted, like when I've tried, this is not my first time doing this 30 days of positivity challenge, but it is life-changing. It is life-changing in your relationships, like in your finances, in your work ethic. And the idea is that you want to go like harder than you've ever gone. You know, you want to do more than you've ever done during these 30 days, but you want to do it with a positive mental attitude. You want to give more of yourself than you've ever given before, but with a positive mental attitude. You know, this does not come natural. It doesn't come natural to me. I'll be honest. I'm speaking for myself. And I don't think it comes natural for most, just depending on the type of environment and, you know, who were the people, you know, that influenced you from your childhood. You know, because a lot of people can tend to be selfish. And then like if you grew up like in like a poverty-minded type of environment, you know, that's definitely going to have like a negative, dominant, you know, thought that kind of, you know, is just ever there until you do something like intentionally for 30 days. I'm going to think positive. That's the only way that you can begin to tip the scales to where your positive thoughts begin to be the dominant. And that is when you become the alchemist. The alchemist, by definition, is a person who creates through or transforms, a person who transforms or creates through a seemingly magical process. So you tap into the space of manifesting, okay? And we all have, the ability to manifest. This is just information they're never going to teach you in school. You have to seek this type of information out, and the Bible even says to seek, and you shall find, right? Ask and it shall be given. Seek and you shall find. Knock and it shall be opened unto you. So, it's in the Bible. You have to seek this type of knowledge, this type of information out. They're never going to teach it to you in school. So for whatever reason, there's something called occult knowledge, when it comes to the law of attraction and things like that. Like, I've certainly done my research, being a seeker myself over the years. And, I've discovered that certain types of information has been deliberately hidden or cut off from like mainstream society, right? And they call that occultic knowledge. But that's a whole nother subject for a whole nother day. So anyways, I like to keep my videos short and sweet. I don't want to go over 15 minutes. I might be right at that mark, so I probably should end it here. But there was something that was kind of eating my lunch a little bit. And maybe I shouldn't, because you know what? I'm on my 30 days of positivity challenge, and I felt like someone who invited me on their live, and I was just there to support. I could have been doing a whole lot of other things with my time than to be just sitting on someone's live. And I felt like they were throwing a little bit of shade at me, and the old me would have jumped on here and addressed it. But you know what came to mind? Because like I said, when you have a positive mindset, you can hear from the Holy Spirit within, and it's already telling me, it's reminding me that small people talk about other people, okay? Average people talk about things. Great people, extraordinary people talk about ideas. So if you can remember that and hold yourself accountable, whenever you find yourself speaking, not even necessarily illy of another person, but you're just focused on, speaking on another person. Remember that small people talk about other people, okay? Average people talk about things. Great people, extraordinary people talk about ideas. So let that kind of be like your guideposts. If you find yourself like offended and you're discussing that person, then they win. Because like Michelle Obama says, when they go low, we go high. That came to mind as well. So sometimes the best thing you can do as far as dealing with a hater, I could have blocked that person, but sometimes you can be filling in the blank too. Like, you don't know for sure, right? And my coach was just talking about that she was the type, if she even thought you were saying anything negative about her, like, she'd be ready to fight you, But she has grown, evolved, over the years of, herself, through her self-development and meditating and affirmations and things of that nature. None of us are perfect. None of us can ever say that we fully arrived, but she did express that at one point, she was so easily offended if she even thought someone was. And sometimes, a lot of times they weren't. It was just, when we try to fill in the blank sometimes, when we don't know for a fact, I've learned to live by this philosophy. It is none of my business what you think of me.